Are you looking to expand your passport portfolio? If so, there is a very easy way that you could potentially start today to get a new passport. Let's dive right into it. One of the easiest ways to obtain a passport in today's day and age is through descent. I personally received one of my passports through descent, and you may also be able to as well. There are quite a few countries who honor passports by descent, especially if your relatives come from the EU. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing more about what it looks like to get Portugal's passport through descent. I have personally done this, and this is one of the passports in my passport portfolio. So let's dive into how you can relatively easily obtain a second, third, or fourth passport that is Portugal's. So before I get started, if you do ever have any questions about what documents may be needed or what the process looks like to obtain a Portuguese passport through descent, I highly recommend going online and finding the email or the phone number of the consulate that is closest to you for Portugal. They will be able to give you all of the details. They will provide you specific guidance on the actions that need to be taken. For me personally, I have found throughout the process of obtaining this specific passport, sometimes I would have to go into the office and have an appointment. Other times I could just show up and it was first come, first serve. So this may change depending on the country and the consulate that you are closest to. So you will want to call them to get the most up-to-date information. But let's dive into what documents you're going to need to get this process started. Now, there's not too many documents required in this process, quite honestly, but the first document that you are going to need is your long form birth certificate. Long form birth certificate is the first document that you will need for this process. It needs to be your long form birth certificate with all of the information about your birth, as well as both of your parents' names. And of course, you're going to need the parent's name that has the Portuguese citizenship already on that birth certificate. Of course, since we're doing a passport by descent, one of your parents is going to need to be a descendant of Portugal and already hold a citizen card and/or passport of Portugal. Now, the next document that's going to be required is the passport or the citizen card of the parent of yours that has previously obtained Portuguese citizenship. For this process, you may need both the passport and the identification card of that parent. So again, it is good to ask the consulate that you are closest to the specific documents that are needed. For me personally, I only needed the passport, but they may also require the citizen card. So you're going to want to check this before you actually make the trip to the consulate. Next up, you're going to need both of your parents' birth certificates. Again, you're going to want to double check with the consulate and see specifically which type of birth certificate they're needing. Is it the short form, the long form, or does it not matter? For me personally, for the parent that did not have Portuguese descent, it did not matter if it was a long or a short form birth certificate, but again, this may vary depending on the country. It's also important to note in some countries, these birth certificates may need to be legalized or apostilled. In Canada, personally, when I did the process years back, it was not required for the document to be legalized or apostilled. However, this can always change. The consulate will give you the latest up-to-date information in your specific country about if it will need to be legalized, apostilled, or potentially neither. And last up, you're going to need the marriage certificate of your parents. And that's it. If you ask me, that is not too many documents. However, if your parents don't have their birth certificate or potentially lost one of the certificates, you will need to order another one on their behalf. Once all of those documents are collected, you're going to either make an appointment or walk in. And again, you're going to want to call the consulate to see which is required. but you are going to want to head into the actual office to start the process. Also, personally needed identification, which is important to note. I'm sure you will have either a driver's license or passport on you, but you will need your own source of identification for the process as well. Now, wait times can vary greatly depending on where you are in the world and what country you're applying from. And of course, if there's any backlog in the system in that country for the passport already. For me personally, it took around 9 months to get my citizen card, which is so fast. I had previously heard it took around 5 years, so it's important to note that these wait times can vary, and when you go in for your appointment at the consulate to submit all of your documents, they will be able to give you a more accurate time frame on what that looks like. Now, once the wait time is over and you get approved, what does that look like? First, you are going to get your citizen card for Portugal. That is actually what this entire process is for. It is not for the passport. What you need first is your citizen card. Once you have your citizen card for Portugal, you are then legally entitled to apply and hold a Portuguese passport. So yes, this whole process is for the citizen card and not the passport itself. It's also important to note that in Portugal, you can obtain citizenship by descent through your immediate family, being your mother or father, or through your grandparents as well. This process I just mentioned is through your mother or your father. However, there may be additional documents needed if you're going through grandparents. And what does this documentation look like? First of all, you will again need your birth certificate, but you will also need your grandparents' birth certificate as well. You will also need to know Portuguese as a language, which is not required if you are getting the citizenship from descent directly from a parent. So this is a pretty big difference. Lastly, you will need a foreign criminal record check. Now, again, these can always change and they are subject to change. So again, what I recommend, calling the consulate that is closest to you and asking them for the specific details. They will be able to give you the most up-to-date details, but you will need any or all of the documents that I have mentioned in this video to get the process started. Best of luck on your Portuguese citizenship by descent journey. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're interested in learning more about other residencies and tax systems around the world, as well as how that works specifically for digital nomads. I'll see you in the next video.